Okay.
Yep.
How are things, Ali?
Good.
Yeah, Owen Mc Gerald is my name. I'm a local ranger with the National Parks and Wildlife Service here in South Mayo. So I'm just going to talk to you for a couple of minutes about the local bats that we have around the town itself. There are about 9 species in Ireland. I suppose there's 5 or 6 different types found in the Westport area. And here we have the Carabag River behind us. You can see some of the flies hatching there. The trout are just sort of finishing their feed during the day, and so are the swifts over our heads. So as it gets dark now, another half an hour or so, the bats will come out of their roosts and they'll start feeding up for the night.
Are there many? There's 6 of the 9 in Westport.
Yeah, around 5 or 6 of them, certainly in the Westport area, So the ones here on the river now, you'll have 2 species of pipistrelles, so the smallest bat we have, and they feed sort of above our height, above our heads really, while the specific water bat we have is called Bentons, and that flies about 30 centimetres above the water, picking up any of the insects that are hatching from the water during the night, while the pipistrelles, generally the 2 big main times of activity are sort of just at dusk, maybe 20 minutes later, and just before dawn, when you have another large amount of insects hatching.
And do you have any idea the numbers that might be around the town now?
The biggest roosts I would know of would be probably 200 bats, maybe in a couple of houses would have, but generally they'd be much lower than that. And when they're in these maternity roosts, they can pack up into a very small size in a roof space. That like a pipistrelle will fit through a cavity the size of a matchbox. They're very small when they climb up the walls and that. And
they produce one each, one child, one baby?
Yeah, at a maximum, they don't really start breeding until their 2nd year, and they generally live maybe 4 to 6 years, and they can live up to 20 years, but generally the females may have a maximum of one pup per year, and they specifically use what are known as maternity roosts, where the females will go into an attic space with sort of the reason they use attics is that it's nice and warm when they're having their young, which is often found at the apex of the roof.
And do they have a predator themselves?
They would have. The main reason that they fly at night time is to avoid birds like sparrowhawks, because if they were flying in the day, they'd be wiped out in no time, and they have a sort of 1,000 times more chance of being predated during the day than at night time. But the main predator they would have would be, say, barn owls would take them occasionally in that, but generally it's sort of the amount that you have is related to the amount of food that's available to them and the amount of roost space that they have.
You mentioned barn owls and sparrowhawks there. Are there many of them around, are there?
No, barn owl has gone very scarce now, and there's still quite a few sparrowhawks, alright, but generally in wooded areas, but they would be fairly common, alright, yeah.
And the ranger, are there many species of wildlife around in general now?
In Westport area?
In Westport area, or Mayo?
Yeah, Westport would be sort of a hot spot, because you have, if you can imagine, it has every sort of habitat from mountaintop, Croagh right down to seashore. You have your bogs, you have the different types of woodlands, you have your rivers and lakes. So even say within a couple of miles of Westport, you probably have 100 breeding species of bird in that one small area.
It's great to hear that, yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you think about the new biodiversity movement?
I think it's great.
It's great, yeah, absolutely.
It's all good. We all live in the one space, so try and get on together,
The councils are taking it on board big time, aren't they?
Yeah. It's sort of it is people are getting more and more aware of the value of this, this of life to everything, I suppose you could call it.
So you're having a bat walk, are we?
We're having a bat walk now this evening, right? So some of the guides from Ballycroy now are doing it, and we'll probably walk down as far as the bridge in Hotel Westport and work our way back up again. Is
Ballycroy a good spot for wildlife?
It is, yeah, it's probably one of the best intact blanket bog areas that you have in Europe, so it's
massive now, isn't it?
Massive area up there, yeah.
And the national park, an extension to the national park down there.
Yeah, that's right, and it's all good for the county, and it's all good for the
wildlife
and everything is the main thing of it, yeah.
Okay, well done.